and welcome to the Lost in Possession podcast. My name's Jamie and today is about my wildcard for game week 10 for fantasy football. Now, before we get into the wildcard to try and save my season after probably what is known as a poor start, especially for me, we'll have a little game week review of mine, Jordan's and Reese's team. To be honest, fairly set score between us. We'll start off with my team, of course, 71 points, above average, but was another red arrow. I'm roughly around 1.3 million in the game. Not what I wanted, to be honest, at this stage. Sorry, I realise I've got them mixed around. Mine and Reese's are swapped around. So Reese is under Jamie and I'm under Reese. So the biggest one for me in the middle is my bench of Mbeumo with 14 points. And just what pains me is he was starting throughout the whole week until I heard when I was confident Robertson was out. I put in Timakaas, who got the clean sheet, but it meant Mbeumo went to the bench. So that's an 8-point hit really for me. I've not taken any actual hits in transfers, but an 8 points separate from what I could have got if I just didn't bother with my transfer. Highly annoying, especially as now I'm going into a wild card, so I really just didn't need to make that transfer. Other players, Bruno finally getting some points for me. I've not been too bad with having him in my team, but he's not performing to what most people expected. But he's been doing better than Rashford, and that was the choice I had at the start of the season. Maddison and Son, brilliant. Both got a goal. I think Son also got the assist as well. That's exactly what you want. Haaland getting the goal. Only one, which is fine. That's what you want. You want your captains to hit something, and to be honest, everyone has Haaland as captain, or majority do. Maybe not as much this week, but he got the goal. Fairly happy with that. However, it was slightly annoying for City to concede again. If you watched the first half of the game, I was there. Brighton didn't look like they were going to have a shot, let alone score. So it was highly annoying that the second half, in all fairness, Brighton were much better in the second half, but got the goal. And Doggo, very frustrating getting pulled off before he gets the clean sheet, and you can see all three of us had him in, and that would have been a lovely extra sort of 5 points for him to get. And I had Isaac up front, which was really annoying, seeing him not start. And I'm like, okay, maybe I can get the Mbeumo 14 points. Doesn't come on. It does come on, and just a single pointer. So slightly disappointing for me, but it has made me go, I need to play my wild card. Just quickly over Reese and Jordan's team. So if we go to Reese's, which is the left-hand side, Trippier, he had Mbeumo on the pitch, which was very good. Watkins, who's been killing it. Haaland up front, Maddison in there. It's just these other little picks that are probably the more differential picks that are just not picking up the points. Sort of Stones conceding. Mitoma, while he was... To be fair, I was very impressed with him in the second half. Not getting any fantasy football points. Slobosai, Liverpool fans are really rating him, but for fantasy reasons, it's just not any good. And Sterling, not involved really enough for the goals against Arsenal. Trippier as well at the back. Jordan's got him as well, and so do I. He's been brilliant, getting the assists. This is why you pay the higher price for him, because he gets the assists and the clean sheets, compared to if you've got a Dan Burn, who's obviously less money, but doesn't get the bonuses, doesn't get the clean sheets as frequently as Trippier. Into Jordan's team on the right-hand side, he's got Luis Diaz as he sort of cover for Salah, but unfortunately Salah just seems to be on top form and has been sort of consistent throughout the season in getting sort of a goal or an assist, and then the last 2 or 3 weeks hitting it very well. He's got Højlund up front. Didn't do anything in against Sheffield United, which is disappointing for Jordan. But touch wood, it happens again Sunday where he does nothing. That's just my personal preference, obviously. Let's get into the wildcard now while you're here. We'll start off with the keepers and defenders. So the keepers, I've gone with Areola and I've got Virginia at 3.9. So Areola for West Ham. West Ham have some nicer fixtures coming up. I think at 4.2, a playing goalie. That's exactly what you need. And Virginia was just a 3.9. I wanted to spend the money. If I had 0.2, I would go to Turner like most people are and rotate, but I'm just going to stick with one goalie and not think about it. Unless Pickford gets injured and then that happens, but I don't see that happening. And Everton have been not great defensively. Into my the back five will be a back four for most weeks. Trippier is staying in my team. I've seen him not in a lot of teams. I get that the price is difficult to get him in, but I think the price he is 7 million now. I've got him cheaper. He's too good to remove. He just gets too many bonus points and assists with the clean sheets. It's like what Trent was doing a few seasons ago. So that's why Trent's such a high price, because he was doing that. Trippier is doing exactly that and getting more bonus points than what Trent was getting. So I think he's got to be in your team. Tsimikas, with Robertson out and apparently going to have surgery, he's sort of like going to start majority of games at 4.4 million into Liverpool's defence. I think it's such a great price. And he does also take the odd set piece, more corners, so he could get an assist. So I'm quite happy with him. Matty Cash, been brilliant this season. I've definitely not benefited from that so far. But Villa's fixtures are also very good. So he's just someone that looks like he's going to get the attacking points and the defensive points. So I think you're really risking it if you don't have Matty Cash at the moment. At 5.1 million, it's a good price for what he is delivering. And finally, I've gone Gabriel at 4.7 in the starting sort of players. Arsenal's fixtures are getting better, and I think Gabriel's position is now sort of cemented back to being first choice. I was unfortunate at the start of the season where he wasn't starting, and I was only getting like a random point here or there. Frustrating, but he's back in the side, and I think Arsenal's fixtures are looking good to have clean sheets, and he may pop up with a goal once or twice, maybe. That's being hopeful. And then finally, I've gone with the cheapest starting player, Taylor. He's there just going to sit on the bench, to be perfectly honest. If he's playing, I've got several injuries, and it's not looking good for me, really. But he may come up with a clean sheet or something like that, but I'm not expecting any more than a 2-pointer if he does come off the bench. On to my midfield. We'll go from left to right. We've got Saka in. He's coming back from an injury, really, but he's going to be playing. I think he's now sort of over it, hopefully, for Arsenal and for my fantasy team. But he should be on majority of penalties. I say majority. He does like to give some away, which can be very frustrating. But he's also very important to that Arsenal team, so he will be starting a lot. Mitoma, Brighton's fixtures went really nice, really bad, and now I think they're going to be sort of decent fixtures. Not over the top brilliant, but I think good enough. And like I said, I watched him when they played City. He's so good at dribbling. It's the eye test was there, and he was getting amongst it. And I think against lesser teams, he will perform and get you goals left, right, and centre. And I think for 6.5, that's a brilliant price for him. Any more, you probably might go, you know what, it's getting too expensive. But 6.5, I think it's a good price. In the middle, he's the main man in this midfield is Salah. You have to put Salah in. Liverpool's fixtures are too good, and he's showing unreal form at the moment. If you're making a wild card, put him as your first player. Get rid of everyone else on the list. Put him in. that's how much he should be in your team. If he's not, you do. If you're playing your wild card and he's not in it, I really do wonder where you're spending the rest of the money, because there's no one better to have than Salah at this moment in time. On to next one, which is Palmer. So to be honest, he was my last pick of all the players. I had 4.9 left, and you know what? The penalty taker for Chelsea, it seems, starting. Jordan is speaking highly of him. I obviously have watched him at City. I know he can be a good player. I do think he has a little bit. He's not fully consistent, but that he may get that over time. He is only young, but I think he's probably the best Chelsea attacker at this moment in time, and he seems to be able to. I think Poch is going to fit him in anywhere he can. So whether it's on the right, on the left, or as a false nine, which he did against Arsenal. So as the penalty taker, I think it's a very good choice to have. And then finally, Maddison. He's been brilliant this season. I did say at the start of the season, hold off on him because you've got to wait and see. You would have been, if you listened to me, you would have been slightly punished because he's been brilliant. And so far, for me, the signing of the summer, no doubt. I don't think there's many players you can even put in the same category as him at the moment. And Spurs top of the league. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? They're doing brilliant. The one thing I want to say about the midfield is I did want Son. I did have him in. I've had to remove him. It's just to accommodate Salah, really. And I think I've got the Spurs covering Maddison. So I think with the strikers that I've got, I just had to sacrifice one place, and it was Son, unfortunately. I think he's still a very good pick if you can fit him in. But for me, I just couldn't fit him in. I think mainly most people will have Son in and not Trippier. But I just think I'm keeping the price held on Trippier, and I really like Trippier, and I think I've got the Spurs cover in Maddison. So that's kind of my thought process. I understand people with a double up of Son and Maddison because, like I had last game week, it worked. A nice 14 and a 9-pointer for both of them. You can't argue with that, but I don't know if that's going to happen every week. It could well do, and I could be another prediction wrong. But I think having at least one of the two, you'll be okay. And then finally, strikers. So let's start obviously with Haaland. He's not changed. He's staying in my team. The people who don't have him are going to be fearing every single City game, because no matter who we play, Haaland is going to be dangerous. Now, obviously, one of our tougher games was Arsenal away, and he had an XG of 0.00. But I think that was on how the whole team played. It was very passive. I don't expect us to have many other games this season where we're so passive, if at all. Even when we go to, I think away to Liverpool, we won't be that passive, or we shouldn't be anyway. But actually, we've got Liverpool at home first before we even have to worry about that. We do have United away at the weekend. You don't know what United are going to show up. They could be one where they're absolutely terrible and he could get another hat-trick against them. Or they could, be solid, have two banks of like a 5 and a 4 and have that counter-attacking play and all perform quite well. But I still would be fearing, for fantasy reasons, why if Haaland is not in your team, and that'll be every week. No matter who City play, he's kind of fixture-proof in my opinion. Into the middle one is Watkins. I think it's a no-brainer. Look at the form he's been in. I was fuming before the Brighton game. Well, watching the Brighton game for Villa Brighton when he got his hat-trick, because my transfer was going to be Isaac to Watkins, and then Chilwell got injured. So I had to make the transfer I wanted to do on Chilwell, and I was like, I can't take a -4 for this. And then I got absolutely punished for it. So I was very unhappy with that. I finally got him in, because since then I've not been able to afford it. Got him in now. The fixtures look great. He could even be a captaincy choice soon. Or he could even be a captaincy choice this week, actually. They play Luton, so it's a difficult decision. I think it's out for me. It's actually out of Salah and Watkins. I'm not going to put Haaland as captain. I'm going to do that slightly selfishly because if Haaland scores a hat trick as a City fan, I'm going to be buzzing no matter what my captain does in fantasy. So rather than double jeopardise myself if he doesn't, then sort of I'm trying to do a win-win situation here where I can't lose. But if Haaland doesn't score, we lose, and neither of these two perform, then I lose. But touch wood that doesn't happen. And then finally Archer, 4.5 million, starting for Sheffield United, is getting subbed a bit and not done anything since his debut, really. But he's just a playing defender, playing striker for 4.5 million, really cheap, and that's sort of why he's in. So one thing I've obviously said about all my players, except for Virginia in goal, is they're all starting. So soon I could try and find a good game week and have a bench boost, because what I might do in the future is downgrade one or two here and there to non-playing players just for that extra bit of money, and then have a stronger starting 11 or stronger starting 12, 13, something like that. But that is my team at the moment. So let me know in the comments whether you agree with some of my team or any of my team, who you disagree with, who have I missed out. And as always, please help the channel by liking and subscribing. It helps us build the channel and give you better content. So as Jordan always says, you know the drill.